All right, so we're starting on our event update page, and we already have all of our workouts in. We have competitors already, so if we actually pull up registration, we can just see. We have two divisions. We have an indie division, and we have a team division here, right? And so essentially, that's showcased here, and all of our competitors are grouped. And we can go ahead and we can go into additional options. We're going to go down and we're going to go into our heats, lanes, and areas field. So we're going to click that and it's going to pop open this, and what we're going to have to do first is we're going to have to actually add an area. If we want to switch to schedule view, it's actually going to error saying that we have to have at least one area first. And so an area is essentially the different aspects or the different areas that your events or your event workouts will be performed. So for instance, a particularly common case is inside and outside, right? So you might have an inside area and you might have an outside area. Now, if it's up to you on how much or how granular you want your actual locations or areas to be, but you might have 3 different locations outside, and you might have, outside A, outside B, you might have actual names, right? You might have something called the gauntlet, or you might have something called the grass patch or something like that, right? So you might have all those different areas in here, and you can go ahead and kind of add each of those in here. So we have inside and outside. You click done to actually add them. All right, and you'll know that they're done when you actually have this little plus minus here, right? So you can see that when we just add it, it's not done until we actually click done. And you can see that now these are actually 2 areas that we have, and we can add the heats individually. You can add heats or transitions. Heats actually have lanes, transitions don't have lanes, right? So we could have particular transitions that are only for certain divisions, or we could have them for all divisions. So for instance, this is the all divisions view. If you want to filter in just a single division, you can actually say that, and it'll actually give you this option to hide transitions with no division if you really wanted to do so. But for our case, we'll leave it as all divisions, and we'll say that the first heat of the day is going to start, it by default starts when the actual event starts. Now I have it actually set to be the start date or as 5:16, so it's a little bit of an awkward time. But this would be whatever your actual event live time is. So for instance, if we were to go back and look at it, it would show that the event started at 5:16 p.m. So again, a little strange, but essentially that's where it will try and start. So you're going to actually pick your division. You can pick the actual start. You're going to say how long that it's going to be. So let's just say it's a 15-minute workout. The workout is reps, and the lanes. We have 4 competitors for each division. So you can put 4 lanes. That's typically what you would do. But in our case, we're going to just say 5 just so we can actually see what it looks like. So you'll actually get these empty lanes filled out for you. Now we can go ahead and we can assign these manually by clicking assign, and it'll show all of the unassigned participants for this division. And we can go ahead, we can assign, Ben Block, and bam, we're good. Or you can go ahead and autofill, right? So if we autofill, it's going to assign them in this particular order. Now, it isn't based off of IDs or anything like that. If you wanted to add a competitor ID, you could do so here, and that'll actually show up on the public leaderboard as well. These IDs can also be added in the registration as well. So again, that ID is going to kind of replicate itself through. So for instance, if we were to close this for now and we were to pop open the registration, right, we can actually assign an ID to Ben here. We can say it's something like Indy01. So I01 is his ID. And if we actually go into our heats, lanes, and areas now, we have to kind of switch into re-grab these things. So let's see, if we go back in, once it's been grabbed, we can see I01 is the actual ID assigned to Ben Block here. And so that is going to be ahead, and that's going to actually showcase here. And if we needed to edit, we could actually edit it here as well. So we could say, change it to Indy01 or likewise. So again, that has to be saved to be updated. So that is essentially what happened when we switch to schedule view. It will save. But if we go ahead and we switch to schedule view, this is actually going to show all of the heats and transitions in chronological order. So if you would rather do it chronologically, we could do so this way. We could say, all right, we're going to have heat number 1 as Indy here. We could go ahead and it'll actually try and be smart about the heat. So it'll say heat number 2. Unfortunately, it doesn't realize that all of our participants are done. So this would be if we had 20 competitors, we only have 10 lanes, right? This would be, smart and figure this out. And actually the autofill would work as well, where it would autofill only the remaining athletes. But this particular one, we can say at 5:31, which is essentially it's going to auto-calculate the start time here based off of the duration. We can say at 5:31, we're going to go ahead and we're going to start the next workout. So we can say, right, heat, it's still going to be, we can change this back to be heat number 1. The difference is that the actual workout is different, right? I named the workouts reps and time, so it's going to show the actual workout in there. And if we go ahead and we autofill now, we can see that it actually is going to showcase, or it is going to propagate through the same order. So we have Ben, Greg, Joe, John, right? We have Ben, Greg, Joe, John again. So it is going to keep the lanes the same, or at least it's going to attempt to. If you start changing things around a lot, it might have a hard time, being intelligent enough to kind of figure that out. But we have our Indy reps, Indy, time here. Now we can go ahead and we can add another time, and we can say, all right, well, in this particular case, we want also the team division to go. And we can say heat number 1 for team division. And it propagated the workout through, but we're going to say that we want reps to go. And, maybe we want it to actually be at the exact same time. So we're going to say at 5:16. So this means that the reps are going to be going on, the team and Indy is going to be going on at the same time. Now, typically, if they were the exact same time, we might have separate lanes. For instance, we might have 10 lanes or 8 lanes, and we could actually fill out, 1 through 4 with one division and 5 through 8 with another division. But in our particular case, we're not going to actually go through this. That's just kind of like a demo scenario. What we could say is that maybe this is actually happening outside, and we can say maybe that time no cap is actually going to be happening at the exact same time. So in the outside area for a different division, we're going to be doing a different workout. The duration, let's just say, is 30 minutes for this. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to auto assign our lanes as well. And we can see that it auto assigns the team lanes. And if we go ahead and we go back to area view now, what it's going to do is it's actually going to be, it's going to obviously show the correct heats and times in the particular place that it's supposed to be. Now, these are happening at the exact same time, heat 1, reps and Indy. Now, because we saved it and switched it back over, when we go back to schedule view, it is going to reorder this to be in the proper chronological order. So we can actually see that heat number 1 for Indy reps inside is actually right next to heat number 1 for team time cap outside, even though it was differently arranged when we actually created them. So you can create these heats in any particular order, and it's going to rearrange them correctly based off of the start time. And if things are on the exact same time, it'll put them in the actual order that they were labeled or that they were in when you saved it, right? So if this one was created before this one, it'll actually be on top of it, right? So if you need to switch this order at this point in time, you're gonna just delete it, create another heat, and bam, you should be good to just replicate that exact same heat. Now, if we do something and we say, oh my gosh, like something happened, we actually have to add a transition time in here where this isn't going to be, let's just say this particular case, right? Because we have 5:16 to 5:31, and then we immediately have 5:31 to 5:46. Now, if we have a ton of heats after this, right, all based off of here, then it's going to be a pain to go through and properly switch each one, right? And so what we need to take into account is, let's just say we have another heat here. We'll say heat 2, division Indy. We'll say points workout. We're going to go ahead and autofill, and it's starting at 5:46 because that's when this last one ended. And we'll say this one's 45 minutes. All right, and then we're going to create one more heat, and it'll be workout, time no cap for Indy. And again, we have it starting at 6:31 because that is the actual duration added to the start time. All right, we have our lane still. We're going to autofill. All right, and so we have our competitors. And again, we can actually see now that, oh no, we actually messed up something here where we actually need to add a transition in here. If there was a ton of these, it could really cause some problems. And so what we really are allowing ourselves to do, if we add a transition, we can say the division, we can say no division, we say the transition's actually for everybody. Or you can actually set a particular division. It's not going to change a whole lot as far as that goes. But the difference is that if we set a 5-minute duration, right? We now have this transition ending at 5:51. It offsets from the start of our next heat. If we want to sync all these times, what we can do is we can go ahead, we can click the little stop clock on the transition, and it is going to attempt to sync the remaining times. We're going to say yes, and now we can see that all the times after 5:51 uses the actual duration to make sure everything is properly aligned, and we now have the start time and end times synced up correctly for the remaining heats. Now we're going to go ahead, we're going to click done, and what we're going to showcase now is the actual public schedule. Again, if we click the gear icon, this can be done either from the event edit page, or if we're on the participant view page, we can again see that we can click the public schedule. You can actually share this link by clicking the share button in the top right. If we do this on a mobile device, like inside the app, it'll actually allow you to text it, but if we do this on a computer, it's just going to copy the link to the clipboard. Now, this is going to showcase all of the divisions, right? We can actually put a particular division up if we wanted to. But again, this is going to go through the list of all of the heats. And if we do presentation mode, it's a little bit different, because in presentation mode, what this is going to actually do is it's going to make sure that the current running workout is the one being displayed, right? So this is actually going to show this one. And as time goes on, it will attempt to auto scroll to the proper event or the proper workout, and make sure that whatever is actually currently being run is the one that's being shown. So that's our public schedule. You can share that link and share it to whoever you want. And as you go down, people will be able to see the links. They'll be able to see the competitors for each one. And they'll be able to actually see the teammates. If there are teammates listed, none of these teams have actual teammates, but if there are teammates listed, they'll be able to see the actual teammates as well, and also the competitor ID, so that they can see the actual competitor, whether or not it's something on their back, their shirt, or written on their arm. So finally, if people want to actually look at the heats inside the app, if they go to the event page, they can click on this and it'll actually show the individual heats underneath each workout in this score workout. So they'll be able to expand these, see the competitors in each workout, or if they click on the actual workout, it'll actually show the scores for that workout, which this one currently doesn't have any scores in it. So that's it for heats. Now the competitors will be able to see their actual heats that are actually signed up. They'll be able to see their heat times underneath each workout as well. So, and they'll also be able to obviously view the public leaderboard. And any heat time, if they have registration requirements like a waiver, if they haven't filled out the waiver, it will show up as incomplete registration, and they will not be able to see their heat time until they finish filling out all of the required fields that you've set. So if you have any questions about that, make sure you watch the tutorial on setting up fields and creating waivers.